regular town council meeting. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda. I'll be looking for a motion. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? All those in favor? Carried. Next up, the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Looking for a motion. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. The first piece is a supplemental by Richard Borschel. To the attention of the Vegreville Town Council, I am the owner of property 4930 50th Avenue. Following the relocation of the Case Processing Center, I became insolvent and filed a consumer proposal. The creditor, I guess, for the financing of the above property has been declined to liquidate the property. Currently, the path forward appears that eventually the town will sell the property for unpaid taxes. Any remaining shortfall would be added to the consumer proposal. I am proposing an alternative for your consideration. I could get permission from the court to remove the creditor and try to privately sell, auction the property. I've been warned by the insolvency trustee managing my consumer proposal that this action could expose me to financial liability should the property sell for less than the owing taxes. I am therefore requesting from the town of Vegreville forgiveness of any outstanding cost and taxes on the property, should there be any after the proceeds of the sale are applied minus the cost. The later option may allow some sort of use development of the long vacant property sooner than the former option. I anticipate would be more economically advantageous, you know what I mean, to the town, and maybe more to myself should I manage to sell a property for more than the cost of owing the taxes. So, well, it's not signed, but it's from Richard Bushel. So first I'll look for a motion to receive and file. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. In a discussion? Start with Councillor Rudick.
I appreciate the letter that we received from Mr. Bushel, but unfortunately the Municipal Government Act does not allow us to consider this proposal, and unfortunately we won't be able to entertain that, I don't believe. I could be wrong, but it's not been my experience that this is something we can entertain.
Okay. So, and in fact, I do believe that Councillor Rudick is correct that we do not get involved in these situations. Eventually it will be sold and the town will get its unpaid taxes.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship, and that's absolutely correct. We'd actually be weakening our position relative to this property if we did anything at the moment. Because we're a municipality, we are one of the top priorities in terms of receiving funds in a tax sale liquidation. So we're essentially guaranteed those funds if we were to tax sale the property. So no, we can't get involved in this.
Okay, thank you. So all those in favor to receive and file? Carried. Next up, we have correspondence from Minister Rick McIver, the new Minister of Alberta Municipal Affairs. Dear Chief, elected officials, I am pleased and excited to return as the Minister of Municipal Affairs. It is an honor and a privilege to serve in this role, and I am eager to work together to build stronger, safer local communities that contribute to greater economic prosperity for all Albertans. As Minister of Municipal Affairs, I continue to believe in the importance of supporting our local communities as they play a significant role in creating the economic and social conditions that contribute to Alberta's vibrancy and prosperity. My ministry will continue to develop the tools, training, and programs to support fiscally responsible, accountable, and sustainable local government and improve the long-term viability of municipalities. I am also committed to my minister's role in providing Albertans with safe buildings, homes, and communities through the province safety code system. Together, we can continue to reduce unnecessary government oversight with regulatory approaches and program delivery that emphasizes outcomes in order to attract investment, support innovation, and grow Alberta's businesses. I look forward to once again working together to strengthen Alberta's municipalities and collaborating on areas of mutual interest. Signed, Rick McIver. I'll take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Barry. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Warba.
Well, I mean, I guess I'd just say I'm happy to see Minister McIver back. He is obviously a very experienced minister. And I think that now that we've gotten past election, we'll need to focus once again to push for the rural voice, especially in our hub areas, because sometimes we feel still like things are being, a lot of the services are being downloaded to us, and a lot of the funding ends up in the city of Edmonton and Calgary. So I'm happy to see him and looking forward to us reminding him that the communities that you have placed as hub communities need the resources to follow that title. So that's all.
Well said. And like I've said previous, Minister McIver gets it because he started in municipal governance. So we are setting up a date for Alberta Munis in the fall, and we're having a meeting with Minister McIver. So we need a couple of topics. So what do we feel is important that we can bring to the conversation with the minister? Do you feel the downloading of some programs, government programs on municipalities is worth the chat?
Well, I definitely think it is, and I think the bigger part to it is just recognizing how many services get downloaded, and then as different areas, no matter what it is, whether we're dealing in, like we saw in homelessness, or during emergency things like COVID, we see where regional centers are placed, and we still end up maybe not being designated, but still being the area everyone's drawn to, and then constantly don't have that funding that follows. We face challenges, in my mind, that are over and above sometimes even what they see in the city. If you look at our costs just on our locations, and we can't bid on items often at the same capacity as the city, I think we're actually disproportionately impacted sometimes. So I think we have to bring that forward.
Councillor Riddick.
I'm glad to see Minister McIver in this role. He definitely is experienced, understands a lot of the concerns that municipalities have. I think some of the conversations that we had last week at Alberta Muni's local government caucus in St. Paula had some validity for us. So talking about the implementation of the next version of the inter-municipal collaboration framework and ensuring that there is some more stringent requirement that people follow through on the parameters that we've established. There's also, we could talk about the local government fiscal framework. I think that's front and center for us. It's important that we understand the decrease in the per capita funding that we've received. I forget the time frame, but it's decreased approximately $340 per person per capita down to $140 approximately, which is a $200 decrease per citizen at a time when our population is growing and the demands on our infrastructure are actually greater. So that would be a great topic, and one that has not been implemented that I think Councillor Barry would have loved to hear was a water session talking about land use planning, and a proposal that was put forward right when I was first on council back in 2010, 2011. I think it was even earlier than that, and it has not been implemented, nor has the information been shared with the public. So there are some things there that would be very quick and easy, and the reason I referred to that land use planning, because that talks about the cooperation with our neighbors, specifically as it relates to floodplains and effective land use planning, particularly when they're in a time of growth, and so are we.
Okay, so how long is our session going to be with the minister?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We can talk about it all.
So I think we should prioritize down to 2. So the municipal funding, what is the new term again?
LGFF.
LGFF, and the downloading onto the municipalities through provincial programs.
And we'll tighten up the messaging so that, yeah, we're not wasting them.
You can send that off to the minister. I appreciate that, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor, receive and file, carry. Next bit of correspondence is from the Community Futures regarding Lemonade Day, Northern Alberta. Community Futures Lemonade Day, Northern Alberta wishes to thank council administration for their support of our future entrepreneurs. This program is showing growth in and around our community, and you have helped in this continuing success. Thank you again. Take a motion to receive and file. Councilor Warba, any comments?
Comments in mind.
Well, it was a another very successful day, and the feedback at the wind-up from the parents and just how proud they were of their kids and the learning process, the Lemonade University and purchasing a business license and securing a location and the save, spend, and share, the 3 S's, and what they were going to do with their money, and they all had to pick a nonprofit they would be donating to and stuff, and couldn't be all winners, which was too bad, but and this year Mundair was on board with 2 lemonade stands there. Initially, they had 32 children registered in Vegreville, but they all couldn't make the training part, so they cut them down. But hopefully next year this will pick up the way the momentum they're building. I forget how many they had in Northern Alberta altogether, but it was really significant. So another good program, and it was a pleasure to judge them and see how involved these young entrepreneurs were in their business. So all those in favor? Carried. Next up, Director Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. So today we just have the monthly cash flow statement, which is attached for reference. To do a quick recap, the bank balance increased by $426,000 during the month of May, predominantly due to starting to collect some of the tax deposits for property taxes for the 2023 year. In addition to that, the GST refund is in there for $53,974. Some of the major outlays of cash during the month were the regular 2 payroll runs, the regional water bill for $77,472, and then some capital outlays, one of which being a progress payment made to Excalibur Mechanical for Prosperity Park underground work, a industrial machine purchased for the hot road pouring for $97,629, and then a new municipal enforcement truck purchased from Madigan Chrysler for $62,158. And then aside from that, just a general operating Alberta municipalities power and gas bill for $115,000.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion. Okay, Councilor Rudick makes the motion to accept the monthly cash statement as presented. Any comments? Is this the first time we've had bought a new Dodge in forever? Not that I can remember. It's nice. We're shopping local and using, yeah. So do you know if that price was everything in, it was rigged up at that price?
My understanding that was just bill of sale price. I don't know if there was extras put on it.
That was just the vehicle and a couple of minor extras from the dealership. Your Worship. Yeah, we're still outfitting it right now. Some of the items for the outfit we've been told might be as long as September before we get them and are able to install them.
Okay.
And I guess one quick thing to add with this is on this particular month, we still have our savings sitting with CWB. That's going to be moving back to BMO for the month of June because they've increased the rate for the GIC by 0.03%, which is about an extra $1,800 a month for money sitting in the same type of account. So
Let's grab what we get.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions of Director Johnston? Okay, all those in favor? Gary, thank you very much. We have nothing. Well, I guess, Chris, you're presenting on behalf of
Yes,
Director
sir.
Lefebvre.
Yeah. So, so in front of you is the final RCD for the basically just the renewal of the snow removal policy. So it's proposed by Director Lefebvre. And so the attached snow removal and sanding policy was scheduled for review as part of our foundational documents planning for 2023. No significant changes to the policy since it was last reviewed in 2018, and no changes directed from council at the last legislative meeting. The recommendation is therefore being made that town council approve policy MOS 2004, snow removal and sanding policy.
Okay, looking for a motion to support the recommendation. Councillor Barry, any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't think there was any need to do any changes to it because I think in 2018 we covered up and changed the things that we needed to make snow removal and sanding a very good job now in the winter. It's just Mother Nature that gets in the way most of the time for deciding just what priorities. So I think the staff have been doing a great job.
Okay. Well, I would just like the public to know that we do have priority roads and we do have certain conditions that kick this policy into place. But if it's in the middle of a snowstorm and the winds are blowing 70 kilometers an hour, we're probably not going to initiate any snow removal. And as far as our priority roads go, we have tinkered with them a little bit, but again, our emergency services are always first. And then the main arteries through town, and then we go to the schools. So if everybody would like to go online and see it, I mean, we've been through this, I know myself personally, in the last 10 years, and had some some comments made that didn't make a lot of sense to us, but hopefully everybody that will read our policy on this before they make a complaint or wonder why we hit a threshold while we're not out in the middle of a snowstorm. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So it is online, and anybody who wants to take a look at it can go ahead and take a look at it. So all those in favor of the recommendation, carried. Thank you. Next up, Director Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. So tonight we just have another policy to review. It's the approval of the reserve policy titled FIN 6006. The background, the attached reserve policy is scheduled for review based on the foundational documents planning list. There have been no significant changes to the policy since it was previously reviewed. There are no financial implications related to this policy approval, and there are no significant changes in it to communicate. Therefore, we recommend that Town Council approve policy FIN 6006 for reserves.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis, any comments? Councillor Rudy.
Thanks for bringing this forward. I'm happy to see, and I think it's great for our citizens to be able to see where our priorities are as a council and be able to identify rather than having a large amount of unidentified reserves. This is very clear that we're thinking about the future and making sure that future councils and future residents of Vegreville are well prepared for whatever comes their way. So thank you very much for ensuring that we've got a continuation of this policy that the previous council had put forward. And I would hope that other municipalities would consider the same type of policy.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, it's nice that we can bring these policies forward for review and update them, and knowing that there's no significant changes moving forward, that our policies have been pretty sound in the past. All those in favor of the recommendation? Carried. Director Johnston, one more time.
One more time. Today's topic for this one is the new Town of Vegreville Library Board member. The proposal is to appoint a new board member to the Town of Vegreville Library Board. The background, the members of the Town of Vegreville Library Board have approached the application of Christina Husink to serve on the library board. They are recommending that Christina be appointed to the Town of Vegreville Library Board to serve a term of 3 years starting June 30th, 2023, with the possibility of an extension for an additional 3-year term. With the appointment of Christina to the board, the library board will be at full complement of 10 members as per the Library Act. The communication strategy would be to draft a letter to both the Town of Vegreville Library Board and Christina acknowledging the appointment of the board. The recommendation is for the town to approve the appointment of Christina to the Town of Vegreville Library Board for a 3-year term starting June 30th, 2023, with the possibility of an extension for an additional 3 years.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for the recommendation. Counselor Worla, who was on the library board for a month,
For about a minute.
a minute. Any comments?
Actually do.
Go ahead.
I'm just always encouraged anytime any volunteer name comes forward, but it's very nice to see young volunteers coming forward. We've been blessed over the years to have a lot of our aging population that spent a lot of years volunteering, but it isn't sadly a common thing to see younger people put their name forward, so that's great.
Excellent. All those in favor of the recommendation? Carried. I do believe, Director Johnston, that could be it for you. Take some time off. Next up, CAO Leggett.
So in front of you here today, Mike, in front of you here today is the RCD for policy OHS 5004, drug and alcohol policy. The background on this is the draft policy presented to you today includes the recommendations made by council at the June 20th, 2023 legislative committee meeting. These recommendations were to include a clear procedure regarding who would make the decision to drug and alcohol test. It was decided that the final decision to test will be made based on panel consensus of the director and/or manager of the department, the human resources officer, and the chief administrative officer. Section 7.1.2 has been amended to reflect these changes, and I'm actually going to stop there, Your Worship. We had a last-minute discussion on this as well, and if it's council's pleasure, we'd like to actually include the words there immediately after human resources officer or occupational health and safety officer. So either of those two individuals, just as a backstop. This does assume that all of those individuals are available at that time, so we wanted to just sort of nominate an alternate and somebody in that health space. So if it's okay, if council could go forward on the vote, it would be an amended recommendation to be human resources officer and/or health and safety officer as well.
Is there anybody against this amendment as we move forward with this policy? Councilor Barry?
Thank you, Worship. For a point of clarity, does one have priority over the other?
No. So, well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Yes, it'd be health or human resources officer and then occupational health and safety officer as a backstop. So because, you know, we'd only mentioned 3 people in here, in the event that somebody's on holidays and it was emergency situation or something like that, nominating that 4th person gives us an additional, to make sure that we've always got 3 to do the vote.
Okay, thank you.
So like a pinch hitter coming off the bench.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Very good. Yeah, carrying on, financial implications. As previously discussed, there were costs incurred to have legal counsel review this document. However, these costs will be substantially lower than the potential costs incurred by having an unvetted policy. I will say legal was quite happy with the policy, and it appeared that the original base was also a legal firm drafted document, so that was good. There will be additional costs with the application of section 7.3.2, which is the testing one. There will be time and wages for the employee and town representatives associating the employee to their test. There will also be costs with the test itself. Furthermore, having personnel who are fit for duty will have cost savings by avoiding damage to equipment property through potential accidents that could occur otherwise. The risk of increases to WCB premiums, lawsuits, and costly insurance deductibles can also be reduced. The communication strategy, all approved changes will first be relayed to the directors and managers of each department. The human resources officer will then work with each director, manager to inform all personnel through departmental team meetings to ensure consistency and answer any questions. The Human Resources Department will also be collaborative with Community Engagement Department or with the Community Engagement Department to ensure all staff are informed about the approved changes. The recommendation being made today is that Town Council approve OH&S 5004 drug and alcohol policy as presented with that minor amendment.
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to, Counselor Bullock makes the motion for the recommendation. Any discussion? Go ahead, Counselor Bullock.
I can appreciate all the work that went into this policy, and I think it's a good thing that we have some backup, that amendment there, to see how that goes. I was kind of wondering about that one a bit, but you covered it, so thank you.
Counselor Rudy.
Thank you. The request for council decision may not be completely clear to anybody that's listening to the meeting today, just because there's more information in terms of the reasonable cause testing under the circumstances where there would need to be a determination of who would be making the decision to have the test happen. So I would encourage any listeners that are interested to go to our website. I'm assuming that this will be on the website once we've approved it, so that they can take a look and see the circumstances about which we're referring to, and ensuring that we continue to provide a safe work site for our employees as well as for the public.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. And further to that, Councillor Rudick, anybody that has any questions is welcome to contact my office or the Office of the Human Resources Officer.
So my understanding is that we've looked at some other drug and alcohol policies that are out there currently and sort of taken on some of the best practices involved and add our own touch to it. We will not be, as of starting tomorrow, drug and alcohol testing any of our current employees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But as we're onboarding employees in safety-sensitive areas, we will?
No, that was something that legal recommended against. In their view, we didn't meet the quite high, quite stringent threshold to engage in that activity legally and fairly for the employees.
Good, as long as everybody understands that. And this policy gives us the permission, or we can, if there is an incident, we can drug and alcohol test any employee if there is an incident that happens while at work, or through a recommendation of a manager or behavior problems during the day or something like that.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I was just pleased that it went through a good legal review, so I think that's the only area that I was interested in, and I'm glad to see that was done, so I'm definitely in support of this.
Okay. All those in favor of the recommendation? Carried. Thank you very much. CAO Leggett, you got another one.
This one's just, so next one here is just a memorandum to finalize the deputy mayor appointment that was brought forward at the last ledge meeting.
Just? You've never been deputy mayor in your life before.
I've been a
This is
councillor.
big time.
I haven't been deputy mayor, Your Worship, in all honesty.
Well, let's not drag it down.
So easy peasy one here. At the organizational meeting held on October 25th, 2021, council decided that each councillor would serve as deputy mayor for a period of 4 months, twice in their 4-year term. Following the schedule presented at that organizational meeting, the next deputy mayor is to be Councillor Justin Curtis. So the recommendation is that Councillor Justin Curtis take on the no small task of being appointed deputy mayor for the term of June 27th, 2023 to October 23rd, 2023.
So are you looking for a motion for the support? Oh, outgoing deputy. Councillor Bullock. Oh, outgoing deputy mayor, Councillor Bullock, is in a hurry to get rid of that title. He wants to pass the badge, the sheriff's badge. Any comments? How was your time as deputy mayor?
Pretty much uneventful,
Well, hopefully,
aside for the Legion Decoration Day, which was a pleasure to be part of.
excellent. Well, I appreciate you being able to step in when needed, and for everybody that, when I can attend things, everybody that does put their name forward or understands. I appreciate it. So we have a recommendation, a motion. Call. All those in favor? You get to vote. Okay. His mom gets here tomorrow, she's gonna be quite proud. Oh. What a timing. Okay, thank you very much. Next up, is UCA Oleg again?
Me again, Your Worship. I'll actually skip over this one. I believe this was covered immediately after the letter from Minister McIver. I have the two items as LGFF and downloading. Is that still?
Yeah, on services.
Yeah. Perfect.
So 10 minutes on the first and 5 minutes on
5
the
minutes
other.
on the second. Okay. Okay.
So next up, Jameson Brown, Community Engagement and Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. Playing double duty here. This pertains to the publication and distribution of the Town of Vegreville's 2022 annual report. The proposal is to publish the Town of Vegreville's 2022 annual report online at vegreville.com. Background is that since 2019, the Town of Vegreville has released an annual report in the hopes of capturing department highlights, functions, and accomplishments of the preceding calendar year in an engaging manner. The annual report also includes an in-depth financial analysis that demonstrates the town's financial position and commitment to ongoing fiscal responsibility and transparency. To minimize printing costs, the 2022 annual report will be published online with the option for residents to request a printed copy by visiting the Town of Vegreville's administration office. Upon publication of the report at vegreville.com, links to the report, this is pertaining to the communication strategy should this be approved. Links to the report will be shared on the Town of Vegreville social media channels, highlighting what the report is, its online publication, and that physical copies are available upon request. Administration's recommendation is that the Town Council approve the publication and distribution of the 2022 annual report as presented. Thank you.
Okay. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Going through the annual report, it's very good information for the public to go in and view that. It's laid out perfectly and excellent that you could read it, and covers everything that we've done in the past year. So I do recommend everybody have a look and see what's actually going on and get it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak, not the other way.
Okay. Taking in the information from the wrong end. Okay. Well, was there anything in the report that surprised anybody? I hope not, because we were in on all of it, so. That being said, all those in favor of the recommendation? And good work by your department, Jameson, and make sure that your staff know that we appreciate it. Okay, up next, councillor reports. We are going to start with Councillor Warla.
Thank you. Starting off on the 13th, I had an FCSS meeting, and we also went over some strat plan review. And just a few things I would highlight to that. So Scott Cameron was back in giving us a little bit of a first look at what came from some of the community engagement. He did say he was really happy with the amount of engagement, and I think as more information comes forward, Council will be quite happy to see that even though areas were identified, we definitely saw where they were able to speak with the public about what our role actually is in some of those areas, and that we were working towards, and his recommendation was absolutely working back towards the preventative side of things as well as the connecting side of things. So if it's a topic that, you know, sometimes we're concerned that people are putting to the council and asking us to do or provide a service that isn't really in our realm, that was very much identified, and it was saying what is FCSS's role within it. And so prevention, back to prevention, things have shifted back from, you know, pre-COVID, where that's where we are, versus the operational side of it a little bit more. They've gone through a bunch of the programs, and we're actually numbering them to try and put them into correct categories and see where we were going. So I think that it was it looked like everything was setting forward in the right direction. So we're going to see some of that come to council, and to be able to have a bit of a discussion on that. One of the major things that was identified in there would be where council could help, and that's going to be on the advocacy side. As we identify areas, then being able to go back again and saying that these things are being brought to us, very much a little bit of what's happening even with the municipal affairs minister in the discussion is that there are certain things that are coming back to us, and then that we're needing the extra help with from the province. So as well as that, we went on to just discuss a few other items. One, of course, there's the new minister, so congratulations to Minister Nixon. And there was talk about maybe the potential of some outreach or even inviting him to the community. So I was going to send you an email just about that. We just think it might be a really good idea. The minister is relatively new, in my understanding, to this portfolio. Not just as a minister, but in background. And what we know is from the previous time, we saw that it was important to reach out to the minister's office because they didn't always even know things were happening front line. We were giving them information they weren't aware of. And I think it would be really good to have him out here. Our FCSS is considered very much a provincial leader. They've actually been asked to speak at the provincial conference. They've been the ones making presentations. We've been listed as being, you know, the hub for the area. So I think, as in we said last, it would be good to get in the ear and actually have boots on the ground people explain to him how the FCSS is impacted. So maybe we could look at doing a congratulations letter and a potential invitation out. I think it would really help. And we have a heck of an FCSS, so let them get in there and explain to them. So the other two little things I was going to bring forward is there will be a little break for the meetings as we typically do in the summer. However, while it's not this year, they are going to begin planning. Next year we'll be celebrating 50 years of FCSS. So they are looking to do some sort of a big event through the next year. So they're starting that planning already. On the 14th, I had the council workshop. 15th, I got to go to Lobster Fest only as an attendee, though. Unlike some very hardworking council, I was just enjoying it, and it was a great event. The 17th was Lemonade Day, and just to add one thing to what your worship had mentioned was I had a couple people speak to me about, oh, well, that's nice, the kids do this Lemonade Day, but I just can't emphasize enough how much work they have to do to go into it. So I spoke to somebody, happened to be out at my lake lot, actually, and they're from Vegreville, and still, even though we've done a lot of discussion on this, they had no idea that these kids actually have to secure a space, have a lease, have all their food handling certificate out, have to do all of the courses, as well as getting permit and whatnot. So in a time when it is hard to see people want to actually be entrepreneurs, do the work, and not just put their hand out, I was really proud of the kids. So I'll just throw that out there. And then the council meeting. And that's it.
Thank you very much. And regarding the invitation for Minister Nixon, I think that we'll have to recognize, especially when the ledge is setting, that with the tight amount of seats the way it is, the expectation for ministers to travel to our municipality, I think that we'll have to be very considerate of what their responsibility is in the ledge too, that trying to initiate a meeting, we'll have to offer the opportunity that we would go to the ledge.
Yep, and that would work.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, Councilor Rudick.
Thank you. Since we last met, I've had a couple of FCM meetings. As past president, I chair the Human Resources Committee as well as the Financial and Audit Committee, so got a few of those things to wrap up at this time of year. I was happy to attend with your worship at RCMP discussion on the 15th, and then follow that up with attending the musical ride on June 16th. So great to be able to see the stands at capacity, and unfortunately some people were turned away because there were so many people that came because the RCMP are beloved by so many people. It was a great event to be able to see from the very youngest to the very oldest residents from many communities neighboring to come to town. So thank you very much to the Ag Society for putting on a great event on the Friday the 16th, as well as Father's Day, despite the rain, 30th anniversary of the Father's Day Demolition Derby and Show and Shine. Maybe not as many cars were shown and shone that day in Vegreville. But the stands were full again to be able to enjoy community event like that. So thank you to all the Ag Societies volunteers. June 21st, I attended the Alberta Munis Leaders Caucus in St. Paul and referenced a couple of the conversations there, but I will go back to the conversation about water management, and some of the things they discussed is the good work that municipalities have done in water conservation, just through prudent practices, and we've had some of these in place maybe without even realizing what a difference it makes to have the meter reading on the heads and ensuring that we don't have as much slippage. And the reference, in fact, to the drought in 2021, for example, resulting in $1 billion in insurance payout affects all of us, even those of us that are not farming communities, for example, like Vegreville. Those kind of insurance claims really affect everybody, never mind the slippage or the leakage that there is internally in water systems and water distribution. So with the expected growth in population in the province, it's important that we continue to protect our water, and the John S. Patuke Water Commission, which used to be the Vegreville Water Commission, continues to be an important asset that we need to pay attention to, and that'll be an important topic for us to consider when we talk with the province to ensure that some of the legislation continues to evolve, and one of those might be asking for changes in water in terms of being able to reuse stormwater in specific applications. So good to see a conversation there that we haven't talked about for a while. Not to mention some of the important topics about LGFF and talking about extended producer responsibility with recycling and all the important topics like EMS and policing as well in the RCMP, and ensuring that we continue to have good feedback with Alberta Munis as a number of the board will be up for election this fall. Followed that evening with a library board meeting, and thank you very much to Councillor Warwa for covering that board while I was on leave. There are 4 new board members, so tonight we approved a 4th one, but there have been 4 new board members, and actually almost all of them are quite young. So we have a very active full board there, taking a look at different activities and ensuring that we continue to be the community living room for those that access the services there. And it's not just books and periodicals. There's all kinds of programming that's offered in the library, and we will have some adjusted hours during the summer. And I do have some follow-up questions because there have been a few interesting scenarios, situations that have happened in the town operations, and just want to make sure that everybody is well informed about who and how they connect the library with the town proper. And I know that Director Johnson is the appointed liaison, and anybody that wants to see where all the good fun happens, the annual report delineates who's responsible for which responsibilities. So I'll carry on that conversation with you further, but we did also have a vice chair elected at that meeting, and it's one of our new board members. And so that person I'm going to find right away in my notes. Crystal Ralph is going to be the interim vice chair. She's not a new board member, sorry. And the new, looking forward to the fall, we will be having ramp up for the budget, and then a changeover in chair and vice chair in January. So just getting everything prepared now. And I will also mention June 24th, the Saturday, was a hazardous household roundup. Thank you very much to our staff. It was a huge lineup. I don't know how many tons of material they collected, but kudos to our staff for continuing to operate and offer a valuable service and doing it with the heat and smiling all along. There were a lot of people lined up all the way up to Co-op Corner, so dozens of vehicles, and I'll be interested to see where all of the people came from, because I'm 1,000% sure that they weren't all from Vegreville. And tonight's council meeting, and that is my report.
Thank you. And at the Alberta Munis in St. Paul regarding water management, there was some ideas, and that's been working in other communities. I don't know, everybody understands how much water is involved in fracking in the oil field business. but it's a huge amount of water. So the municipal affairs has said go ahead for municipalities on the releasing of their wastewater, that they can now sell it to these fracking companies, and like, it is certainly, instead of taking good water and using it, so there's certain steps, and a lot of this has been through Alberta Munis and promoting, that we save and conserve water the best we can, and because putting fresh, clean, produced water, like natural, like tap water, through in a frac system that's never gonna be seen on the planet again, that doesn't make sense, so. There was a lot of good things at Alberta Munis, so thank you very much for that, and we'll go to Councillor Barry now.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, for myself, most of the meetings were at the first of the month or next week. So all I've got ready to speak to is the council workshop, the legislative committee meeting, and the regular council meeting. Other than that, I've been busy doing some reading, some different things on my computer, and spending quite a bit of time with family in terms of, I've got a grandson graduating Nate, a grandson graduating high school, a daughter graduating high school, a granddaughter going from grade 9 to grade 10. So we've been getting together quite a bit on that, and it's certainly been a pleasure.
Sounds like a lot of potato salad to me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lemko. This ought to be good.
Always good.
Start with a fishing project.
No, that's it. June 13th, I attended the Tourism Advisory Board meeting, and I'll let the chair of that committee, Councillor Curtis, speak to that. At the same, that evening, I attended the Vegreville Stands With Ukraine committee meeting, where the topic of discussion was where we go from here as a committee, and rejig our lineup. There's some new members on the committee, and a lot of action around supporting those people that are already here in more capacity than we have, and we're working on that. I'm excited to still be part of that committee because it's still working, and we do a fantastic job there. That group is remarkable. June 14th, council workshop. On the 15th, I had the pleasure of attending the Rotary Lobster Supper as a bartender, and had the pleasure of working with my colleagues there and seeing the amount of folks in there enjoying themselves over lobster and steak and a few wobbly pops. June 16th, the Subdivision Authority Board meeting. We went to that meeting and discussed the file there. And today I had a call with, again, ASA, the Immigration Society, and some updates on that. And interesting note, there's 3,600 Ukrainians have settled in 198 communities across Alberta. There's 18,000 in Calgary, 11,000 Edmonton, 1,100 in Red Deer, and the majority, there's 6,000 approximately in the other communities spread out across Alberta. Some of the discussion, the topic was they did a heat map to see where in the province all these folks are, and it's all by postal code, it's all by birth dates to determine ages and dependents. And they can spot where all the Ukrainians are even settling in areas like in Calgary. They know the pockets of where in Calgary. And it's interesting, they say that they've settled in the northeast where the rents are cheaper, historically. Edmonton is a lot of downtown, actually, areas is where they're settling. So they continue to do the uptake on the next heat scan will be starting in May, and we're trying to capture on our committee of the Ukrainians that are here that are not part of our group. So we're trying to go to family and find out how many are here, just so we can establish how many actually settling here. Environmental scan is being done, and it's to determine what the needs are current compared to what they were before. So the Ukrainians are already here for 6 months. Now, what's the challenges these folks face? So we can move forward with trying to help those people. Another interesting note that 2 people had made, and they're with Settlement Services. And they said no money has been delivered to any settlement agencies, as was promised in the April announcements. So federally and provincially, no monies have been allocated to the Settlement Services Agency. So there's a concern there that where is it? Will it come? So I just thought that was ironic that they hadn't got their money yet to support the Ukrainians, as was previously announced. Anyway, and tonight's council meeting. In between all that, I did go fishing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, that's quite a feat that they make announcements, and it sure looks good, federally and provincially, and
Yeah, and there was 2 agencies that spoke in the conference call today that said, if anybody knows where the money is, please let us know, because we have not received anything. They talked about, from the feds, nobody knows where the money is. They made the announcement, but they don't know where the money is. And I'm not sure what the announcements were, and provincially, there's no money arrived yet. So maybe it's because the election was in April was announcement, and there was, I don't know the reasons, but they were kind of waiting for money. So.
well, hopefully that'll start coming through.
Absolutely.
So, well,
Yeah, Can't Do Services.
it's needed, and there's a lot of outfits and groups like what we have here in town that are counting on some of that redevelopment money to help them in situations they're in. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you. So on June 14th, we had a Community of Association Lasting Success Board meeting, the last one just before the summer. Just want to comment again on how well everything went for them this year. They successfully implemented a number of programs, whether it was from snacks to early childhood development. Very lucky to have the group that we have in this town. Done very well, and they're looking forward to summer break and kicking it back off in the fall. So just want to say, thank you to them for everything they do for Vegreville and the surrounding area. Also on June 14th, our council workshop. On June 15th, also was a volunteer at the Rotary Lobster Fest, and even though Councillor Rohr was in the crowd enjoying herself and stuff like that, but it was actually pretty enjoyable behind the bar too, to watch all the things that were going on. So it was a very good event and quite successful as well. On June 16th, I attended the same Subdivision Authority Board meeting with Councillor Lemko. Exciting to see what's developing there. So that's looking forward to another exciting thing happening in Vegreville. Also on June 22nd, I attended the Pesica Park Market. Lots of people turned out for the first market. Well received. I'd like to thank the Agricultural Society for sponsoring them. At the town, at the Pesica Park Pesica Park. And also it was really interesting to see one of the new vendors was Three Sisters Lemonade. They sold out within the first hour. So they actually sold out a lot. They didn't sell out in Lemonade Day, but they sold out at the market. So, so that was a great thing to hear there. And tonight's council meeting. That's all I got.
Three Sisters, very cute lemonade stand. Yeah. Okay, up next, Deputy Mayor.
Not yet, not yet.
No, it's official now. We already passed it.
I think it's a few days away still. Yeah, it's not yet. I still got a few days. Thank you. So starting up for me, I was double booked on the 13th, so I did a very short FCSS meeting to listen to the strategic plan side, and then I hoofed it over to the tourism board meeting, which I was chairing, and Councillor Lemko took over for me to start. A few updates there. I just want to bring to light again the big Canada Day event we're having, because it's coming up here on the weekend. We've got over 20-some different vendors, 4 or 5 different food trucks, bouncy castles, stage. There's going to be some live entertainment, DJ. What else do we have here? Bingo is happening. So there'll be some live bingo. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. There's tons of small activities. Our new rec programmer's doing a great job. He's got a lot of stuff ready for the kids. There's face painting. We have over 120 at least. Jameson, do you have an updated number on registered participants? 200 participants in the color run. So that's really good for the first go around. And then the next thing that I'd like to talk about is our stats at the Pacifica Park. So over 260 nights have been booked or already camped. Close to 12,000 people roaming the park, and this was as of the 13th, so it's obviously gone up. But almost 5,000 people into the Vic itself. Over 2,900 people counseled, so asking questions and getting information from the staff there. Over almost 500 phone calls. Lots of concession sales, souvenir sales, borrow a boat and borrow a bike. 29 and 17 respectively off the hop, so I know those just got in the water, those boats, so that was good there. And then one of the other things we kind of talked about just to keep the BTAB members in the loop was just about how our ECDEV is moving forward, because I think tourism and ECDEV go hand in hand. They need to be separate, however they go hand in hand for something. So we just let them know that we had started our plan for the 5-year goals and keeping them in the loop, and we'd let them know what's up and coming, and they can also give some info our way, and we can bring to ECDEV. So that is my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Will you be attending the Canada Day celebrations?
I will not.
Okay.
I have a wedding that day. It's not mine, but.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so on the 14th, council workshop, and then the morning of the 15th, myself and administration and Councillor Rudick attended another meeting with the RCMP regarding the situation with staffing and the billing and stuff here, and I think eventually we'll make some progress on that file, but it's slow going. On the 16th, the John S. Patuque Water Commission, on the 15th, the bartending, and I want to thank Councillor Berry, Councillor Bullock, and Councillor Lemko and myself that it was a really fun evening, and I know that Councillor Rudick and maybe Councillor Warwa were watching from the other side of the bar, but we didn't hold that against you guys. It was a very nice event, and the Rotary Club reached out and asked me where we would like, the council would like to make a donation on what the nonprofit, and I said, well, we'd like to make it to the skate park, so they're very happy with that. So. On the 16th, the John S. Patuque Water Commission, and we are in serious consultation regarding water rates right now and how the rate model is put together, and it's not going very good, so I'll just let everybody know that it hasn't been going good for years, and we are pushing forward, and hopefully by the fall we're going to get some directions with our new Minister of Municipal Affairs. We'll be meeting with him and taking our grievances to him. So, also on the 16th, I did the opening ceremonies for the RCMP musical ride, and it was a very nice evening, very well attended, and the Ukrainian dancing and the First Nation dancing and drums, and it was nice to see the crowds packed like that. The stands was very nice, and I think you were working that with the Ag Society, or who were you representing?
I was there with Ukrainian dancing.
Oh, the Ukrainian dancing, yeah. But it was very well attended. We had our LEDGE meeting on the 20th. The 21st, I traveled with Councillor Rudick and CAO Leggett to the Municipal Leaders Caucus in St. Paul. A lot of good information. And it was a very good meal, too. That local restaurant that made that meal, it was very good. They had lots of jalapenos in some of their relishes and stuff, and really it was very nice. And it's nice again to see elected officials that, we don't get to see that often again, so. And then on the 22nd, I traveled to Vermilion with the Northeastern Alberta Alliance for Growth and Opportunity, which used to be the Northeastern Mayors and Reeves Conferences. And we've changed our name, and we are a lobby group now on behalf of the Northeast. And at the Leaders Caucus in St. Paul, the new elected MLA, Scott Sear, was there for Cold Lake and brought him up to date on what we're doing. And then in Vermilion, we had a couple other MLAs. It was kind of disappointing that our MLA didn't make it out, but we are reaching out to all 5 MLAs that are in the northeastern Alberta that touch all of our municipalities, and we want to set up quarterly meetings. And so Highway 28 was a big push for us off the bat, and so once the writ was dropped, we worked hard, and we got them to put another $5 million into the budget regarding an engineered study on 28. So we have a subcommittee that's going to work very hard in the next year to make sure that that moves forward, and it will be a budget item. We agreed that we'll have no more than 3 priorities at one time going in Nottago. So the next one will be healthcare, and it'll be a regional approach. And the mayor of St. Paul, Maureen, has taken on the chair of that subcommittee. So we'll all be receiving letters, all the municipalities, about what our challenges are. And we are going to be meeting with our MLAs and the Minister of Health. And we are going to make sure that any solutions that we come up with will be a regional solution. We are no longer going to accept any decisions made in Calgary for healthcare in this region, if that's AHS or what it is, but we are going to make our solutions work for us. So we have one more priority open right now, and we're just waiting. We're to identify what it will be. In our next meeting, we'll figure that out. There's been a lot of problems. We're hearing from industry in northeastern Alberta that they can't get any financing in rural locations. Banks do not want to touch them. And it's becoming a big problem. I mean, Environment Metalworks, Lindsay Haig, and not just him, even Concord Industries was having a trouble trying to expand in Two Hills, and every municipality that is part of our group had different stories, even in the pulp and lumber industry in Athabasca and stuff. When these people are coming up with ideas and locations, and banks just don't want to touch them. They feel that that if the business is not successful, that the property that's built and stuff, they won't get their money back out of it. So I'm hoping that's something that we can take on. And I mean, we know the province of Alberta owns a bank, and if industry in rural Alberta can't continue to grow because of banking practices, it's not fair. So hopefully that'll be our next of the 3 that we'll run with right now. Anyway, it was we come up with a new chair. The mayor of Smoky Lake and the Reeve of Smoky Lake County have taken on splitting the duties. We have a new secretary, and luckily for Director Johnston, I managed to secure the treasury position for that committee. So there was a lot of negotiation to keep that, so just so you know. And then from there, most of us are on Alberta Hub anyway. And then we went for a tour of Lakeland College through their pre-vet services that they offer there, and their dairy barns and stuff. And it was really quite amazing, the technology today in the dairy industry. And there's nobody there, and there's just equipment, and the cows seem to know everybody, because the machines come by and they wait for it, and if a gate opens, I'm going, and they know what to do, and it's really quite amazing, and it's a nice facility. And this time a year ago, when it come to research there, they had just hired somebody, a researcher out of Ontario, and now they have 9 full-time scientists dedicated to research at Lakeland College. And they're on more than a cost recovery model, working with private partners and stuff in seed and a lot of other opportunities. And so, great on them. They are doing an amazing job down there. And it's nice that Alice, consider myself and her friends, and, that we know what's happening in the trades department there and stuff. And we need to collaborate more with what's going on there. But it was a good time, and Jameson attended the Alberta Hub AGM meeting with me, and Angus Watt was the guest speaker, and I heard it's out, his presentation. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have the email of the slides he presented.
Could you send that out to council?
I can indeed.
What an opportunity we have in Alberta right now. When you see the stats of what he brought forward to us and what's going on with interprovincial migration, birth stats all over the world, and the housing that's going to take in Alberta to keep up with the numbers that are coming into this province. It is incredible. So Jameson will email it to you. And this is about the 8th time I've seen him, but his presentations are always good, factual, funny. He adds a little bit of humor in there too. And at the end, when he comes time to pay him, it's always the same. He takes a $1,000 donation to Little Warriors. And that's what he charges every time when he is a guest speaker. So then luckily the municipality of Vegreville held its seat as the representative for towns over 3,000 in Alberta Hub. So it was uncontested. That's what. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't understand, like Alberta Hub, it's only the board members that can make motions, and everybody can vote, but it's only board members that are make motions, and we represent, there's us and Vermilion that are on the towns over 3,000. Then there's a representation for villages, towns under 3,000. Cities automatically become a board member. And then we have industry and post-secondary. So we have Lakeland and Portage as members of Alberta Hub. Although Alberta Hub is expanding, its geography is getting bigger. I didn't support it as a board member, bringing in other members, and I think we'll have a conversation during budget about where they want to go. But I mean, our synergies that we share with most of the board, other municipalities within Hub that are close to us are good, but the further and further we go, I just feel we're watering it down, and we're just taking up a lot of conversation. So I will make a presentation to at budget time regarding that. And tonight's town council meeting. So thank you all for what you do every day, and thank the staff. Leslie, thanks for coming tonight. This is your 3rd meeting? Yeah. You're doing well. So is there any other business of council? Seeing none, we do have one closed session item, and so I'll take a motion to go into closed session. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. That motion was at 8:10.